Hello, and welcome to today's stream. We are in Assetto Corsa, the original Assetto Corsa from 2014. That's over 10 years old, 12-year-old game that I'm jumping into, and it is a real challenge with the car I'm about to take on. I am forgetting something. 1 second. Okay, here we go. So today we are jumping into Assetto Corsa, and the one thing I wanted to do is also talk about the F1 race this weekend because it was quite eventful with what took place. You saw some real super clipping, as they say, and we also had a big accident with Ollie Behrman, who had a significant speed difference from, I think it was Colapinto, that was in a recharge state, which was much slower than him, which caused him to try and avoid him and took him off the track and spun. Well, he didn't spin, he slid sideways into the barrier, and it was a 50G hit, which is insane to think. And insane to think he didn't have any damage, any broken bones or fractures or anything. All he had was a knee contusion from the hit. Right, the side impact is really hard because there's no crumple zones on these new cars on the sides. It's more on the front and the back. So all that force went into his body. But we also had Kimi Antonelli win his second race of the season and his career, and also becomes the youngest Grand Prix leader ever. So that's astonishing for him. And then you had George Russell, who had a different setup, an experimental setup, he said. And that, I feel, kept him at the back of the pack, right? Fighting with the others. But he is also very team involved and was trying to see how Kimi Antonelli was going to restart after that yellow flag, yellow safety car. And it was a really huge race, you know. Oscar Piastri could have also won the race if it wasn't for the safety car. And, you know, George Russell didn't really have massive expectations, but his own team seemed to imply, you know, just shut up and drive. They don't know what Kimi's going to do, but it was interesting to see. But today we're going to jump into this Sauber-Mercedes and go around this Nürburgring and see if I can handle it. And then, you know, there was some controversy of the super clipping with Antonelli's pole position lap as they cut off the onboard camera. But F1 is saying they had technical difficulties with his camera, and some people are calling cap on that, you know, because they're trying to hide. They're saying they're trying to hide the super clipping, and that's why they didn't show the onboard camera. But whether it had technical issues or they're hiding the super clipping, we all know that they're using the super clipping to recharge the battery. And it was out of spoon where the camera cut off, which is kind of convenient that it happened there, because that's where they would use the super clipping to try and charge up for the next lap, right? And I think even Pato said it was even sad to see, which is a really fast IndyCar driver at the moment. I think they were in Alabama this weekend, but yeah. Yeah, and they really have to look into the stuff that went down with the Ollie Behrman crash, because it's dangerous with these cars, with the way they were saying. And even Alonso has brought his concern about it. And talking about George Russell's garage side, I think that his side is not as experienced with a championship driver, because Kimi Antonelli has Bono, which was Lewis Hamilton's engineer, who has more experience when it comes to car setups. Bono is very experienced with car setups and has had awful amount of success with Lewis Hamilton. My first spin. And Mercedes will let their car drivers battle it out, because they have the strongest car, you know, so. But it's pretty interesting to see these cars battle it out on the Suzuka track, because it's not an easy track to overtake on, right? But there was quite some interesting battles, like, you know, seeing like the deployment and what they do when they do it with the energy. And there was a lot of yo-yo racing, but it was interesting to see. Ooh. Sometimes they would use more energy, leaving spoon curves, you know, so then they would probably like use the super clip-in to recharge before the end of the strip to use it for the next lap. But it's interesting to see. The nature of the track really didn't have a lot of break-ins into turn one, so there's not much energy being regenerated there, right? Ooh. And Antonelli, even though he secured pole, he didn't really keep that lead for too long in the beginning of the race, because you had Oscar Piastri who got a good launch into turn one. Russell got a decent start, but it wasn't as good as Oscar Piastri, who shot to first place, and Charles Leclerc followed along, and Lewis Hamilton was right there as well. Not as good as his teammate Charles Leclerc, but still good enough. So it was really good for him Oscar Piastri to get that good start, because that was his first Grand Prix race technically, because he crashed out or had technical car issues at the Chinese Grand Prix. So it's not a simple track to overtake on. There was also some interesting things happening at the back of the grid as well, in terms of battling with, like, you know, having Max Verstappen in the bottom of the top 10 is an interesting feat, and he's not liking the car at all. So that's interesting to see. Sorry, I'm just trying to focus a little bit here. Trying to complete this lap. But yeah, there was a lot of Mercedes on Mercedes fighting going on. Like, you know, the McLaren holding the Mercedes behind. But George Russell really put out a fight and got to the front for a little bit. And, you know, Mercedes in clean air is the fastest car, but not in the corners, you know. And Piastri did a really good job at holding off the Russell attack. Ooh. But, you know, Antonelli really did a charge and got past Norris and Leclerc and got into P1 again. And it's interesting to see what these cars are doing now on one-stop races instead of, you know, 2-3 stops, because of the compound of these tires. You know, looking at Kimi Antonelli's car in pit lane, you could see a little bit of graining on the inside, you know, and I think he was on the hard at the end. But I think he could have started on the softs and finished on the medium in that race, to be honest. And, you know, Russell, Norris, and I think Leclerc pitted before the safety car, and then it was interesting to see because, ooh, I forgot I'm on the left side of the car. But, ooh, Jesus. You know, and Russell really pushed for the pit stop, so he has no one to blame but himself, because, you know, very shortly after, as soon as he got out of the pits, Ollie Behrman went into the wall. So it was like, you know, why did I pit? But it was his call. He wanted to keep the lead, and that cost him the lead, because then Kimi Antonelli was able to pit under the safety car and save a lot of time, right? But the accident was a pretty big one. It was a side collision, and it was rough. You saw him like limping out of the car, and he was very, like, you know, very much in a lot of discomfort, you know, and thinking it would have been worse because he didn't have any. He went to go the hospital to get x-rayed, and he had no broken bones or anything, and we saw him return to the pits, you know. But yeah. But it was on the run out to the Spoon Curve, and Behrman was harvesting his energy, and Colapinto was regenerating energy. And apparently it's not the driver's making decision. It's like a ChatGPT algorithm is doing it. So it's not them controlling it or overriding it. But It's apparently all according to the throttle input, according to this gentleman I was watching on YouTube. But Ollie Behrman was carrying a lot of speed into the spoon curve, and I'm not sure if he purposely was harvesting or the car purposely to deploy, whereas Alpine decided to generate power, regenerate. But it was not Colapinto's fault, because Behrman was coming so quick, and the speed difference just didn't have the time to make space for him. And by the time he realized how fast he was coming, it was too late. Behrman had to go into a reactive measure and avoid him. And by that time, he was already off the track and sliding into the barrier. It was so quick. And these speed differentials never really took place with the previous iteration of Formula 1 cars, right? So it's interesting to see what the drivers have to say, because even Charles Leclerc apparently said that kind of stuff is dangerous, because the speed difference is so much different. And it's not like a DRS, right? Where DRS only gets deployed in the straights, right? So you will see someone coming, but in a corner, if a car's deploying energy compared to a car harvesting, it's like if you don't know and you're coming around the corners, you have no time to react to the driver that's deploying their energy compared to someone harvesting, compared to someone regenerating. So the drivers are right to be critical of it, because it can really be dangerous, and it's something that does need to be looked at with the way these cars are harvesting and regenerating power. But it will be something that will help qualify. But as it stands, it's problematic in numerous ways, the way the cars go about deploying and harvesting energy. They are good in racing conditions to some degree, like the racing that we saw between Leclerc and Russell was great to see. Even the two Ferraris are fighting again. Oh, this corner again. Ooh. But they have a few weeks to figure it out, because they have like almost a month off before Miami takes place. It's almost like a summer break almost, but early in the season, because 2 races were canceled because of the war going on in the Middle East, the Qatar and Jeddah, or is it? I can't remember what the other one was. But it's 2 races canceled, giving the drivers and teams 2 weeks to upgrade their cars. But they are locked into the setup. Apart from the race start, Anthony has been flawless, to be honest, and he's been really good taking on these veteran racers, right, with no fear of what will happen. Russell was not happy with the way that the safety car took place, but it's unlucky that he chose to go in a bit earlier. Jeez. I don't even think I have turbo on in this car, and it's so fast. Like, I have to be really soft on the throttle inputs. I can't just mash it out of the corners, because even though there is downforce, I don't even know if I loaded my tune on this car, to be honest. I did do a tune on it. But George Russell, I feel, is feeling a bit flattened with Kimi Antonelli's perfect driving and Antonelli had a perfect safety car restart, and it was interesting to see Piastri take place in that race for the first time this season, because he was pretty good at his drive. Like, to the point where I feel like if it wasn't for the safety car, I think Piastri would have been the winner of that race. You know, Norris wasn't really the cleanest from practice to the race, but Piastri was a perfect race if it wasn't for that safety car. So, but yeah, a meeting, like even the restarts, George Russell doesn't really have a great restart after the safety car, right? And he's like caught napping if his tires weren't up to temp or whatever the case is. But yeah. Oh, I had no turbo on. Ooh, ooh. The car's so violent without the turbos on. Jeez. Let's go fix it. As much as the racing could be great to watch, it's interesting to see the whole yo-yo effect with the racing, you know, but yeah, and Hamilton, you know, he did a good race, but it looked like Hamilton didn't really quite have great deployment. So his car was a bit slower than Leclerc's, but he was still up there, right? And it was not till the end of the race where George Russell got past Hamilton, dropping Hamilton down to the bottom of the standings. And he even had to say after the race, he was full gas and he could feel like he was lacking power. He wasn't sure what was going on, and he was trying to explain to his engineers over the radio, but mainly the pace he didn't have was on the straights. Or through the corners, it was still a typical Ferrari, which was... Ooh, messed up my engine. Oh, back to pits. And I feel like that's also what's happening with Max. He's like... It's not really the perfect... Oh, my God. You know, I feel like it being not a MUG unit, it's not like that. So it's like you can't really twitch it with the settings. You got to kind of like pick one and stick with it. It seems like the battery doesn't like when you're switching the settings a lot. And that's what Max Verstappen has been doing during the race. Whereas, you know... It was interesting to see him struggling through the race, and the car being very twitchy with him through the corner exits and stuff like that. It was really interesting to see. So he's right, where the car is not on par with the rest of the field, but who knows? The race was very enjoyable, I would say that. Like, it was interesting to see a lot of more battling going on, which is not normal for a Suzuka F1 race. You know, even watching Leclerc and Hamilton go on, it was very exciting. I thought they were going to touch, but they were very close and just really good battling. And Leclerc really did a proper overtake on George Russell on the outside of turn 2, I guess it was. But it was interesting to see, right? And there was a lot of yo-yo passes going on the back straight after the spoon curves, and then leading up to the S's in the last turn. And you know, if you pass them on the back straight, they would end up passing you in the front straight. So it was interesting to see the deployment strategies of the different drivers, you know. But it was a 3 different team split on the podium: Mercedes, McLaren, and Ferrari. So it was Kimi, Piastri, Leclerc on the top steps. I think Norris was 4th, George Russell was 5th, and Lewis Hamilton was that's 10%. Jesus, I was coming through there real hot. It was great to hear Kimi Antonelli. Ooh, I'm gonna still go. He's thanking the people back at the factory, so he's becoming a company favorite. I think, you know, it's interesting to see how the season's gonna go, because I think we have a real championship battle between the Mercedes drivers, and then, you know, if Piastri's doing as good as he did for the Japanese Grand Prix, it'll be interesting to see how he battles the Mercedes team, doing a Mercedes power unit battle duel. And I would like to see Norris do better as well, because, you know, you're supposed to be the champion. So, like, show it by dominating the field, but who knows? My take is I would like to see what F1 does. Oh my gosh. Oh, Jesus. I would like to see what the FIA does with the rules and regulations on these cars and their battery deployment and harvesting, or energy charging leading up to Miami. So that's enough of talking about F1. I'm gonna try and see if I can focus on this race now. Oh. Jesus. Got unplugged. Oh. What I would like to watch after this is the Up to Speed episode for this week, to see what they have to say about the Ollie Behrman crash. Oh, there we go. And what they have to say about the whole George Russell asking for help from the restarts with Kimi Antonelli, and also what they think about Oscar Piastri's first race. I shouldn't have worked there. That was dumb. That was close. Spinning tires in the carousel. Interesting. Oh, into the wall I go. Jesus. Keep it on the track, shall I? and it's only gonna get faster from here. So what I'm gonna do is, every time I get to the new lap, I will up the boost and see how I do. Oh no! Oh, into the wall. Place for that corner. That's the one thing with this track is that if you're in the wrong position for a corner entry or a corner exit, it just throws off the whole section, right? And then you have to like I slowed down too much, so I'm like, yeah, I gotta really hone in on this. Braking at the wrong moment for this corner. I feel like that sends me too wide, and it just did. Jeez. Oh my lord. This thing is viciously brutal. Alright, let's see if we can turn it up on the straight. 20%. Actually, let's go to 30%. Just wakes up the top end. And this is an old ECU, so there's no boost by gear. There's none of that fancy tuning things to keep it under control. It's just you, your pedal, and your steering wheel. And I know all I go. Oh. Let's go pits. Fix our damages. Alright, let's get some fresh tires on there. Might as well fix our damages. Alright. Oh yeah. What I haven't done is check to see if I'm actually live. All right, let's get going. Jesus. Whew. Oh no, again. Oh. All right, let's go to the pits. Let's try it again. Got cold tires. Oh, wrong button. Let's just cruise for a bit. Jesus. This thing's scary, man. Painting 11s. It's hard not to do coming out of these corners. Foot on the clutch. Tires are a little bit warm, the fronts are a little cold still. Track now. Ooh, too much. Oh, I should have slowed down. Ooh, come on, hold it together. Oh. Oh, you see what I mean? Just a little too much gas out of the corners. Mind you, I'm only at like 30% boost. This is like an 800 horsepower car too, so it's like at full boost, that is, you know. So like at the, oh my god, oh. Crazy. I know I'm all over the place, but what I'll do on this lap is on the front straightaway, I'll put it all the way up to 100% boost coming out of the last corner before the front straight. Oof. was not on the wrong side. I was on the wrong side of the racetrack there, and that just threw off my whole section there. Oh, too much again. Oh, I didn't touch this time though. But I spun after getting it. What it sounds like from the outside. Crazy. Missed the carousel, second carousel. Oh my god. Jesus. Okay, here we go. Holy shit, this thing's brutally fast. Oh my god. And this is approximate speed of what Ollie Behrman hit the wall at. Insane. Opa. Can I get it stopped in time? Oh, I kinda did, but kinda lost it on the... Alright, yeah. I'm gonna call it a day. Actually, before I do that, let's go and drive a Mercedes that is a little more tame. This car, F1 made drivers race. I think it was at the Nürburgring, the Nürburgring GP. So let's see if I can. Yeah, this is one of the cars I start. This is the second car I drove in this game when I got it. When I got the wheel, and this game was the main reason why I got the wheel, because I tried joining an MX Cup series with a Discord group I was part of, and I was trash, and I couldn't. I think the main thing was I was in the outside view when I should have been in the cockpit view, because the outside view on Xbox, it moves a lot, you know, so you can't quite judge where the car's going because the camera's like floating behind the car. But yeah, let's see how I do with a car like this around here. I think I have a tune for this car on this track. I don't think I perfected it, but I think I dialed in something. So let's see how much better I can manage this car around this track compared to that beast C9. There we go. So this is the Mercedes-Benz Evo, Mercedes-Benz 190e Evo 2. This is before AMG was a part of Mercedes. So this was around the same time Sauber was part of Mercedes. It's just a 2.5 liter inline 4 high revving Mercedes motor that dominated GTM back in the day. it was this car and the E30 that was battling it out a lot. And I went with this car because I just love this car so much. It's probably one of my favorite Mercedes of all time. Even though I'm not a Mercedes fan, I do love this car. Like, listen to that thing, high rev, Jesus. Slow down because I have cold tires. But normally I shouldn't have to slow down around that corner. Hopefully once it gets up to speed, up to temp, these tires will do good around corners like that. 6th gear coming down the straight, brake into this corner. And then brake. Hold it together. I think I started braking a little too late, but my tires are up to a decent temp now. Whew. I just have much better control with this one. I should have tapped the brakes. Oh, keep it out of the wall. Oh, I couldn't keep it out of the wall. That was my own fault. Pushing a little too hard. And if anyone has watched my channel before, you will see that I don't have the racing line on, so I'm trying my best to push and judging where the car needs to go based on experience of a little too hard on the brake while turning. This car is one of those cars that really teaches you the whole string theory. If you're a sim racer or a real race car driver, you'll know what I'm talking about with the string theory. As I mess up the string theory again, trying to get the car under control into the corner. And the strings theory is, as you apply the brake in a straight line, but as you start to turn, that's when your trail braking starts, right? And for your corner exit, like here, let off the brake a little bit while turning. I held it for too long, and as I'm exiting the corner, it's the same theory. It's the same theory, but in the opposite, right? So as I'm exiting, I can apply the throttle, but I can't smash the throttle. I have to wait until I start unwinding the steering wheel to then smash the throttle and get that perfect exit, right? So I really need to practice the string theory more, and I feel like that's gonna make or break my sim racing journey in terms of keeping up with the pack and avoiding crashes. So in my practice time, I need to focus on that. Too much brake. Oh. Ooh, a little too fast into the carousel. Get back into the carousel and floor it out of the carousel. Maybe I should do a video like what I did the first time around with the Audi Sport Quattro S1. Took that around here and I was not in control of the car. The car was in control of me. So maybe I should try taking it back here and practice my string theory and maybe get into some braking, brake boosting the car out of corners once I get the string theory down. Because that's how Hans Stuck and Unser drove the car to get it fast around these the V8s of the early 90s era IMSA GTO class. Oh, again, I didn't turn enough into that corner. That corner is a weakness of mine. I gotta focus on that one day. Oh, this corner always gets me. Should have been flooring it the whole time. Oh no. So clearly I have a lot of practice to do. You know, I'm not a Max Verstappen or a Lewis Hamilton, so I need to get back into basic cars like this and see how I can maximize my driving ability and practice the string theory for my trail braking and my throttle exit strategies. Oh, get it back on the track. Now my tires are dirty. I don't think I have enough fuel to make it around the track, but we'll try and get another lap in here. Yeah, I'm on red. I'm not gonna make it. Oh, again. So I gotta practice breaking into that corner. I'm gonna call it a day. Clearly, I can do better. I'm just not focused because when I'm around live or talking to the mic, I feel like I'm always distracted and not doing a good job. So I'll go and practice offline and get better at this track so that when I do come back and do the Audi Quattro run, I can nail a good lap for you guys and see my progression compared to when I first started. But until next time, guys, have a good one. Peace.